A sobering new warning that nearly 50 million more people could face famine across the world amid a global food crisis. The World Food Program warning the war in Ukraine is exacerbating the crisis that's also being fueled by supply chain shortages from COVID, rising costs, and climate change. On top of that, the UN warns the world supply of soil is dwindling, posing another threat to the global supply of food and medicine. Here now to discuss this is Jo Handelsman. She is the director of the Wisconsin Institute for Discovery. And we also have with us today legal and cultural analyst Tracy Pearson. Good morning to both of you. Thanks so much for being here. Jo, I want to start with you. Nearly 30% of global wheat exports come from Russia and Ukraine, or they did, I should say, before the war. Ukraine was known as the breadbasket of the Middle East. Are we starting to see any major ripple effects in the food supply yet?
Well, I think the effects of fuel shortages and the high cost of fuel is affecting farmers, the transport of farm products to processors. We're seeing all sorts of increases in food prices that aren't really due to the lack of food from the farm itself.
Okay, Tracy, to you now. Experts warning there is no quick fix at the moment. What should be happening on a diplomatic level to bring countries together to solve this latest looming crisis, this one feeding people?
Well, in the first instance, what we need to do is make sure that the countries that need food have it. Smaller countries are unable to compete on the global market because China, in fact, had the worst wheat crop in decades because of global warming causing flooding. So they are dipping into this large world food bank, if you will, of crops. And so what we need to do is make sure the countries that don't have it have it. But there's an additional problem, and that is fertilizer isn't being received by farms, and they're having to ration. As a result, there's going to be smaller chickens, pigs, and cows, and that is going to lead to higher prices in meat in this country. So the best thing that we can do is to try to help Ukraine get that grain out of the Black Sea. Right now, there are hundreds of ships being blocked by Russia, and in order to help move things along and to help sort of fix this backlog, what we need to do is help Ukraine get back to business.
Okay, Jo, back to you. A UN group is warning that there's a global soil shortage as well that could lead eventually to $23 trillion in losses in food, ecosystem services, and income globally by 2050. That is pretty alarming. We're already seeing the loss of topsoil in certain parts of the world, right?
Yeah, if you look at the central part of the United States and the Corn Belt, half of the land has already lost a lot of its topsoil, in some areas, all of its topsoil, and that's a worldwide problem. The loss of soil is one of the unseen crises that we're facing because it's underground. People don't think about it all the time. And we can't grow crops without good soil, and the soil is leaving at a rate of about 10 to 100 times what it's made, at the rate at which it's made.
Wow, and that's happening here in the U.S. as well.
Very much so. There are parts of Iowa where you can actually see the subsoil sticking through, and you can't really grow high-yielding crops on subsoil. Our soils took hundreds of years, if not thousands, to form to the depth and richness and fertility that we have today, and we're squandering that at an incredibly high rate.
Wow. Okay, Tracy, back to you now. Global food shortages, we've been talking about them. This isn't a new crisis, but severe food insecurity has grown dramatically in recent years. The war in Ukraine, as we've been talking about, that's just the latest problem. But this is a complex situation. I mean, what are some of the solutions to the problems we mentioned that we haven't talked about already, namely the Black Sea and Ukraine?
I think folks need to realize that everything is interconnected. You know, a war going on across the world impacts us in this country, and that this is, in fact, a U.S. interest. Folks need to understand that we have that we're going to see an increase in prices. I think the other thing that can help here is that we need to help Ukraine get some fuel to farmers. Farmers are unable to get out there and plant their crops for two reasons. One, because of fighting, but also because of fuel shortages. Fuel coal has been diverted for military use, and they are desperately in need of railway cars because those are being used by the military. And so they can't, put fuel into their gear and be able to get out there and till the land. So we need to help them get back to business, get back to doing what we need them to do as a world, providing food for folks by providing them with the resources that they need to both fight this war and to provide the things that they need to get back to doing the agricultural work that they do. They export about $27 billion a year in agricultural exports. And in comparison, California exports a little over 20 billion.
Wow. All right. Well, Joe and Tracy, thank you for breaking it down for us. You both brought unique perspectives. We appreciate you putting it in context.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.